Welcome back to Lion Recaps. Today I will show you an American fantasy heist comedy film from 2023, titled Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. The tale commences within a vast prison, where an imposing monster is brought forth. Within this setting, two youngsters, Edgin and Holga, enter the scene. The monster promptly begins tormenting Holga upon arrival, an act that Edgin sternly forbids. However, the monster disregards his warning and resumes harassing Holga. Consequently, Holga retaliates fiercely, delivering a severe beating to the monster. Several days later, Holga and Edgin find themselves standing before the judges, as they have already served a 2-year sentence in confinement. They present their appeal for release. The judge inquires as to why they should be released so promptly and whether they have ever engaged in virtuous acts. In response, Edgin proceeds to narrate his personal account, and the narrative transitions into a flashback recounting events from years ago when Edgin resided joyfully within a tribe. In this tribe, Edgin assumed the role of capturing thieves. It was during this time that he fell in love with a tribal girl, leading to their marriage and the birth of their daughter, named Kira. The three of them reveled in their world of happiness, albeit fleetingly. As a consequence of Edgin's apprehension of thieves, one of them seeks revenge by taking the life of his wife. Prior to her untimely demise, Edgin's wife managed to conceal their daughter, Kira, within a wall, thus preserving her life. However, Edgin suffered the tragic loss of his beloved wife, leaving him overwhelmed with sorrow. It was during this period of grief that Edgin crossed paths with Holga. In a twist of fate, Holga assumed the responsibility of caring for Kira, and the bond between Holga and Edgin grew akin to that of siblings. Meanwhile, Kira matured as time went by, all while the trio faced numerous challenges, prompting Holga and Edgin to turn to thievery. However, they established a strict rule that prohibited harming anyone during their illicit activities, reserving their targets exclusively for the affluent. A man named Forge and a magician named Simon joined their ranks, further expanding their team. One fateful day, during a particular heist, Holga stumbled upon a mystical necklace with the power to render its wearer invisible. In a bid to safeguard Kira, Holga adorned her with the enchanted necklace. Subsequently, a red witch named Safina presented them with a daunting task: to pilfer a highly coveted device from an exceedingly perilous location. However, Edgin initially declines to partake in the task. Nevertheless, when Forge reveals the extraordinary nature of the device, Edgin promptly changes his mind and agrees to steal it without hesitation. The details of what made this device so special will be revealed later. Before embarking on the mission, Edgin instructs Kira to remain at home, fearing for her safety and wishing to spare her from any potential harm. Thus, the group sets off to pilfer the designated location, with Edgin successfully obtaining the coveted device. However, as they make their escape, the guards of the premises unexpectedly confront them, forcing them into an unwanted confrontation. Meanwhile, on a different front, Safina, who had actually arrived for a crimson horn rather than the device, seizes the opportunity to acquire it and swiftly departs from the scene. In the midst of the chaos, Edgin realizes that their chances of escaping are slim, and he entrusts the device to Forge, urging him to escape and protect Kira on his behalf. Following Edgin's directive, Forge flees from the site. Simon manages to evade capture as well, but unfortunately, Edgin and Holga are apprehended by the guards. As a result of their actions, both Edgin and Holga found themselves imprisoned for the past 2 years. The story then transitions to the present, where Edgin narrates their tale. However, despite his compelling account, the judges remain unmoved and refuse to grant their release. Meanwhile, a massive bird arrives to transport them back to jail. Unbeknownst to the judges, Edgin and Holga had devised a different plan. Seizing the opportunity, they seize the bird and leap out of the nearby window, fully aware that the bird's wings will save them from a perilous fall. With perfect precision, they execute their escape plan. Upon landing safely, they hastily make their getaway. Edgin returns to his home, only to find it empty. He and Holga had hoped that Forge and Kira would rendezvous with them there. Thus, they head to a hotel in search of information about Forge. It is at the hotel that Edgin discovers a small poster depicting Forge, revealing that he has ascended to the position of king in the Neverwinter kingdom, having dethroned the previous ruler. Edgin finds the situation incredibly perplexing, but his top priority remains finding his daughter, Kira. Therefore, with a sense of urgency, Holga and Edgin make their way to Neverwinter, where they finally reunite with Kira. Overwhelmed with joy, Edgin is relieved to see his daughter safe under Forge's care. Curiosity piqued, Edgin expresses his happiness at meeting Forge and inquires about how he acquired his newfound status. Forge reveals that Safina played a crucial role in assisting him with his rise to power. The sight of Safina triggers anger in Edgin and Holga, as they hold her responsible for their previous incarceration. In response, Forge informs Kira that Edgin and Holga had deceived her by claiming they were released from jail, whereas they had actually escaped and arrived in Neverwinter. Furthermore, Forge plants a false notion in Kira's mind that Edgin committed the theft out of greed for immense wealth. However, the truth was that the magical device they had attempted to steal had the power to revive any individual. Edgin harbored the desire to use it to bring his wife back to life. Edgin beseeches Forge to hand over the device, but Forge flatly denies possessing it. In this situation, Kira remains unconvinced by Edgin's words, as Forge had spent 2 years poisoning her mind against him. Overwhelmed with emotions, Kira flees from the scene in tears. Edgin and Holga, consumed by anger, rise to confront Forge, only to be thwarted as Safina employs her magic to freeze them in place. Subsequently, both Edgin and Holga find themselves imprisoned once again. However, their determination remains unshaken, and they manage to escape from the confines of the prison after a fierce struggle. Edgin and Holga now share a singular objective: to retrieve Kira, along with Forge's treasure and the coveted magical device. They had previously amassed the treasure together, but now it lay under Forge's control. To execute this heist, they needed a team. Hence, Edgin embarks on a quest to locate Simon. They eventually find Simon performing small magic tricks on the street, attempting to deceive and steal from unsuspecting passers-by. Unfortunately, Simon finds himself caught by mistake, enduring the wrath of those he had tried to swindle. Trapped and desperate for an escape, Simon is rescued by Edgin and Holga, who intervene and aid him in eluding his attackers. Subsequently, Edgin shares Forge's story and his plan with Simon, explaining his intention to assemble a team for the task at hand. Upon hearing this, Simon reveals the existence of a girl named Doric, possessing the unique ability to transform into various animals or birds. Determined to recruit her, they embark on a journey to find her. Along the way, they encounter a young girl who is moments away from being executed. Suddenly, a horse appears and swiftly transforms into a formidable beast, eliminating the soldiers and rescuing the girl. They soon realize that the horse beast is none other than Doric. Edgin seizes the opportunity to introduce himself and narrate their mission, promising Doric generous compensation upon its successful completion. Captivated by Edgin's proposition, Doric, who could assume the form of any living being, readily agrees to join their team. Edgin instructs Doric to approach Forge in the guise of a bird, enabling her to gather vital information regarding the treasure's whereabouts, the specific locker in which it is stored, and the method of unlocking it. Unbeknownst to Edgin and Holga, Forge had suspicions about Safina's true intentions. He believed that she planned to gather the state's inhabitants under the guise of a game, using the stolen red horn to transform them into a mindless zombie-like army. This realization prompted Forge to make preparations to leave the area on the very day the game was scheduled, taking his treasure with him. Loading the precious cargo onto a boat, Forge actively assisted Safina, revealing their collaboration. Their discussions unfolded within earshot of the quietly attentive Doric. Sensing someone listening, Safina's suspicions were aroused. However, before she could apprehend Doric, the agile shapeshifter fled, securing her own safety. Upon returning, Doric informs Edgin that reaching the treasure would not be a simple task, as Forge had stationed numerous soldiers to safeguard it. Furthermore, even gaining access to the safe would pose a significant challenge due to its intricate lock mechanism. Hence, Edgin turns to Simon, inquiring if he possesses any magic capable of unlocking the safe. Simon admits to only knowing minor tricks but mentions a helmet within his tribe that grants the wearer extraordinary magical abilities. However, Simon is uncertain about the current whereabouts of the helmet, as most of his fellow magicians perished due to internal conflicts. Holga intervenes, suggesting a method to locate the helmet. She leads the group to a graveyard, the resting place of the deceased magicians who had fought and lost their lives. Following Holga's instructions, Simon employs a special stone that utilizes magic to revive the dead. According to the magic's rule, they must question every revived individual, for a single unasked spirit would remain restless. Thus, Edgin, Holga, and the others proceed to interrogate the resurrected souls. During the questioning, one spirit reveals that they possessed the helmet but had entrusted it to a warrior named Zinc before their demise, ensuring its safety from falling into the wrong hands. Although they learn about the helmet's whereabouts, they depart without confirming if they had questioned every spirit present. However, an oversight occurs as one of the deceased spirits remains unaddressed. Edgin and the group arrive in Zinc's kingdom, witnessing his impressive warrior skills when he rescues a cat's baby from the jaws of a large fish and returns it to its mother. Edgin and Simon approach Zinc, explaining their quest for the helmet and emphasizing the noble intentions behind their pursuit. Zinc insists that Edgin makes a solemn promise not to employ the helmet for malicious purposes. Once Edgin gives his word, Zinc reveals that he did possess the helmet previously. However, to ensure its utmost security, he concealed it in a location known as the Underdark, safeguarding it from any unworthy hands. Assuring them that he will guide them to the helmet's whereabouts, they eventually reach the entrance to the Underdark, a deep pit. Undeterred by the strange sights that greet them, the group presses on, determined to progress. However, they encounter a broken bridge, hindering their path to reach the coveted helmet. In this situation, Simon improvises by employing a wand to create a teleportation portal, enabling their effortless access to the helmet's location. However, their return journey proves challenging as Safina's henchmen, dispatched to eliminate them, confront them, instigating a fierce battle. During the clash, Zinc stands by Edgin's side, providing support. Unfortunately, their commotion awakens a slumbering dragon, a formidable obstacle to overcome. While the dragon dispatches Safina's minions, it now becomes fixated on them. Trapped with water rising and no viable escape route, Simon devises a plan to teleport everyone to the nearby sea. Once there, Zinc bids Edgin farewell, as his role in the mission is complete. Simon, seizing the moment, promptly dons the helmet, triggering a transformative sequence in his surroundings. Simon's grandfather materializes before him, posing a pivotal question: "Are you deserving of this helmet?" Simon confidently responds, "Yes." However, when Simon finally wears the helmet, he continuously stumbles and falls, persisting until the evening hours. Following Simon's realization of his unworthiness for the helmet, Edgin is left with no alternative but to confront the soldiers head-on and storm the palace. With their arrival in Neverwinter, Edgin takes the lead, captivating the soldiers with his melodies, allowing his companions to infiltrate the gates and engage in combat. Meanwhile, Doric stealthily observes as Forge prepares to escape with the treasure, loading it onto a boat. Amidst the battle, Simon once again dons the helmet, and this time it recognizes his worthiness. Empowered by the helmet's magic, Simon becomes a source of amusement and inspiration for their allies. However, in the midst of the chaos, Forge and Safina capture Edgin, binding him with a massive serpent. Forge reveals to Edgin that if he desires to escape with his friends unscathed, he must partake in the day's game. Hence, against their will, the group finds themselves in the heart of a labyrinthine maze within a sprawling arena. To emerge victorious from the game and halt the treasure's departure, they must navigate through this maze while contending with other competing teams. A binding band is fastened around their wrists, restricting the use of their magical abilities, and a fearsome monster lurks within the maze, ensuring escape is impossible. Doric reveals that the treasure will be completely taken away today, emphasizing the need to triumph in the game. Equipped with weapons, they forge ahead, confronting the challenges that lie ahead. While progressing, Edgin discovers numerous individuals confined within cages, instilling a sense of concern within him. Recalling a glimpse of a portal within the maze, Doric leads the group in search of it. They soon locate the portal and venture through it, arriving directly aboard Forge's boat, the vessel intended for his escape alongside the treasure. At this moment, Edgin comes into possession of the very device capable of resurrecting the deceased. In that moment of entrapment, Forge menacingly threatens Edgin, vowing to harm his daughter Kira. However, Holga disrupts the situation by hurling a potato at Forge's face, momentarily distracting him. Seizing the opportunity, Edgin and his companions overpower Forge, subduing him and taking him as their captive. Meanwhile, Safina busily executes her nefarious plans as the crowd gathers to witness the game. Utilizing the Red Horn's magic, she transforms people into mindless zombies. Upon discovering Safina's scheme, Edgin swiftly acts to protect his daughter's safety by adorning her with the same necklace, causing her to vanish from sight. Subsequently, Simon begins releasing Forge's treasure onto the road using large balloons, triggering a frenzy among the people to claim the scattered riches. Amidst the chaos, Safina launches an attack on Edgin's team, but their fearlessness prevails. Doric assumes the form of a formidable beast, engaging in combat with Safina, while Simon utilizes the powers bestowed upon him by the magical helmet to counter her advances. In the face of Safina's formidable power, Edgin and Holga fought valiantly, but victory seemed elusive. Thinking quickly, Edgin devised a clever plan. He summoned Kira, who appeared suddenly and swiftly placed the same anti-magic bracelet on Safina that had once restrained Edgin's team during the maze game. As the band nullified magical abilities, Doric, in her beastly form, dealt a powerful blow to Safina, resulting in her demise. Despite the injuries sustained by Holga in the battle, Edgin utilized the device intended for reviving his wife to save Holga from certain death. Although this device could only be used once, Edgin made the decision after careful consideration. With their mission accomplished, Edgin relinquished the stolen throne of Neverwinter to its rightful king, dethroning Forge. In recognition of their heroic deeds, the king bestowed upon them the esteemed title of warriors. Meanwhile, Forge, attempting to evade capture like Edgin and Holga once did, ultimately failed in his escape. As the movie draws to a close, we glimpse the same deceased man who still awaited someone to pose him questions, longing for the release of final rest. And thus, the movie concludes. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.